And hello, everyone, and welcome to this new edition of GM Web3 dedicated to MultiversX. Like every Wednesday at 8 a.m. UTC, we are live on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This morning, we'll be together for 2 hours, maybe, to speak about different topics around MultiversX. There are so many things to talk about. Um, so before I begin, I'd like to thank one of the partner of this show. It's the famous lending and borrowing protocol Hatom. Thanks to its intuitive interface, you can put your cryptos to work in total security. Now they are the leader in liquid staking in the ecosystem, and they have launched the first native stablecoin on MultiversX, the USH. You'll find the link of their platform on the video description, and they're offering $15 in their token, the HTM token. And to participate, all you have to do is to quote tweet the show on X. The winner will be announced in the next few days. I will put the link in the comments so it's easier for you. So let's move to the program of today. We have three main topics. First of all, we'll start by discussing about the narrative that Beniamin Mincu, MultiversX CEO, is looking for. In a vlog posted on his X account, and after firing his CMO after months of loyal service, Benjamin called on the community to mobilize to find the next narrative. After all, you're only as good as your community. Having surfed many narratives such as mass adoption, metaverse, AI, payment, the most scalable and fastest blockchain in the world, he's looking for his North Star, as they say. We'll try to help him find it with my guest. Next, we'll take a look at last week's bug that allowed an exploit user to print 150 quadrillion USDC. The incident report was published yesterday by the core team, yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. So we'll check all together whether it's complete and above all what it says about the blockchain they claim to be the most secure in the world, and never missed an opportunity to criticize others when they had problems. And the last topic of today will be about the very recent pivot that MultiversX seems to have taken on X by creating a MultiversX Foundation account dedicated to important announcements. The historical MultiversX account, on the other hand, will be dedicated to fun and degen content with memes, funny messages, and we also could watch a new sequence starting. It's a warm-up sequence. So warm-up for what? We'll talk about it. So before we start, we'll welcome my guest of today. I'm very happy to have them all. So let's start with my dear friend Joachim. Hello, Joachim. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well?
Yes, I can hear and see you. GM, hope you're doing
Very
well.
good.
We postponed this emission by a week, and I'm glad we're back at it because I think there's a lot to be discussed. And your take was actually, I would say, one of the best ones. So I'm looking forward to you talking about it.
Thank you very much. And yes, you are right to remind this to the audience. This topic was planned last week, but of course, we first had to speak about the bug that happened last week. And to be honest, Joachim, I think we are the only one to have produced such an independent analyze. Of course, it was not perfect because it was just a few hours after the bug. But what we can see with this incident report, we were not that far from reality. But and thank you again, Joachim, for coming last week to take the risk to make mistakes, because it's always a risk when you decide to speak before the official post-mortem. Anyway, let's welcome a second guest, Sila. Sila, you start to be used to come on GM Web3 2 weeks on a row. Hello, Sila, what's up?
Hello. Yeah, it's my third time. I think next time I'll come in pajamas. It will be better.
Okay, pajama party all together in the morning. I like it. I'm very happy to have you back. You were there last week to speak about the bug. I noticed also that you posted a thread about the event. You made your own post-mortem report. And yeah, I read it very carefully. We will be also with Misha. Misha, how are you, Misha? Welcome to GM Web3. How are you?
Hey, always good to be in the show, second time. And yeah, it's a bit early, but I feel like the topics today will get the brains kickstarted.
What time is it where you are?
No, it's 10, but
Okay.
the nights can get long.
With devs, we go to bed late.
I'm not a
Definitely.
dev, but I'm used to go to bed at between 2 and 3 because of many different topics. Can be content creation, preparing the shows, but at the moment it's more about Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I don't know if you know that game, but I'm just like playing as fuck for days now. So yeah, I maybe I've slept 4 or 5 hours this night, so I understand what you feel. And we'll be with Julian. Julian,
Hello, hello.
how are you, Julian?
I'm good. How are you?
There is an echo, so I don't know if you can do something about it, but feel free to do it if you can. There's an echo. Julian is the one, we can say, one of the one that have thought all the UI UX of Maya wallet and also MultiversX for years. And I was very happy to interview you a few weeks ago, and I asked you to come in this show to speak about this narrative. And thank you for accepting my invitation.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And the last guest of today, I don't know if you guys will stay the whole show long. You know what? You come when you want, you leave when you want. Everybody's free to come and leave anytime. And this last guest, it's his first time on GM Web3. It's Subject 2. Hello, Subject.
How's it going,
Very
guys?
good. Very happy to have you. I proposed you to come on the show for the first time after I read some posts you made about the narrative a few weeks ago, and I said, okay, it would be great to have a member from the community to give his word. So thank you for accepting my invitation too.
Thanks for having me. No, yeah, it's a fun topic.
So guys, because we are numerous today, please just write up in the private chat so it's easier for me to give the mic to everyone. And yeah, guys from the audience, hello everyone. Cuckoo, GM, hello. Feel free to ask your question, to interact, to give your say, and yeah, to like, to subscribe, and so on. It's important to interact with our socials, so it can be Twitch, can be YouTube, can be X. It's important. We are creating this kind of content for you because actually we could do this just all together in a Zoom conference, but we do it live for you. So yeah. Take it that is it is. So let's start with the first topic. So I made the introduction, so I will speak less in the coming minutes, and I will let you with this first topic. So maybe my first question is, what's in your view, why do you think Beniamin decided to let the community choose the next narrative, and do you think he will hear it, or it's just a marketing sequence to engage the community with no follow-up? Who wants to start before we try together to brainstorm about the perfect narrative? First, about the form of the ask of Beniamin in its vlog. Who wants to start? Guys, don't be shy.
Okay. I guess
let's go.
I'll jump
don't
in.
Be shy, guys. Let's go.
I was
Misha.
the first one to write up.
Yeah, I definitely.
Subject.
I do think it's a bit of a.
Please, just if you want to jump, just write up in the private chat below, so it's easier. And because Misha wrote up before you, I gave him the mic. But now I know you are the next one. No problem. Let's go, Misha. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that's the whole crypto mindset, right? To have the community come, propose the ideas, and yeah, you know, the masses all when everyone contributes the idea, I think we all can influence each other's opinion, refine, iterate towards a final narrative, as it's called. And Beniamin will definitely read most of the suggestions, and I think it's then up to the MultiversX team to come up with a final narrative, the one that they want to push, and that one will be kind of crowdsourced, right? Like with all the ideas we have in the community. That's like my stance on this one, but I do have some suggestions or can give insights on the ideas and narratives that I personally would pursue, and actually the one that introduced me to Elrond back then, or how I pursued Elrond and what made me get involved there.
Okay, keep it for just later, but keep your ideas. I will be happy to hear them. Subject, what about the form of the ask? Do you think it will be followed by the core team and Beniamin, or it was just an ask in a vlog and he already forgot about it?
I don't think that it's cynical, but I do think that it was more to stir conversation. The way that the blockchains operated so far, you know, I think that they have a lot more insight to the direction that they want to go. And so I don't think it's very much like Benny to not have thought 10 steps ahead. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he's already sitting on, and he said something key, that he's very close to already having an idea. So I think he wants to get some feedback from the community, but I'm pretty sure he's already got something that he wants to hone in on.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, Joachim?
So I think it's a mix of both of them. So engaging with the community and maybe actually pick up on some things that could be used in the communication, etc. Because the main focus of MultiversX Labs, like the main company, is to improve the blockchain and to make it as attractive as possible for both users and builders, right? Narratives are a way to attract users and builders during a moment of time. And what we've seen in the past, we had the multiverse, well, metaverse, I guess. We had meme coins. We had a lot of trends, and I think one of the issues with those trends, other than we might have been a bit late to catch them, is also that, like, if they don't talk to the community, if the community doesn't feel engaged in those trends, they won't be your best ambassadors. Well, if you design it with them, certainly you might have a stronger momentum thanks to your community, because as we're joking, the community for now is the new CMO until we get a new one.
Yeah, but there is a risk on the other hand, because if you just engage the community and after you don't follow what some of them are proposing, you create a frustration. So it's not just about we need to engage the community, but also to follow up the demand. So we can maybe understand that in the meantime there was the bug, so maybe they were in some trouble. But the thing is, since he launched this ask to the community, nothing happened except maybe some interesting reply from Beniamin in the comment, but to be concrete, we have nothing except this new sequence, warmup, which is I don't know if it's a new marketing sequence or the narrative that is coming. I don't know, but the community can be innovative, can be engaged in a topic, but if the community don't have an answer or anything like concrete a few weeks after, the community can be frustrated. So that's the risk. Julian, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. I wanted to add on top of what people already said. So, like, my perspective on this is that Benny wanted to give the power to the community to decide and to see their own vision on this topic. And perhaps it's because for a long time the community was not feeling like part of the process, maybe, or was felt left behind, maybe. And this is a way to engage and to give give the power of decision making to the community. And after that, we will have, you know, a lot of ideas, a lot of maybe new insights that the MultiversX will have to choose from or maybe build upon, and it will feel like something that we all contributed to, and perhaps it will even strengthen the community. So this is one of the ideas that I think he did that. Also, I'm pretty sure he's a couple steps ahead of this thing. So maybe he was already on a direction and he wanted to see which what people are aligned to it. And the third point is that this is the nature of decentralization. So from my point of view, like a network doesn't need a CMO or a CEO or something. It's powered by the people. So in a way, people decide what it is and not somebody at the top. Yeah, so this is my point of view here.
Thank you, Julian. To add some context, don't forget the timing, guys, because this request comes just after the departure of Dan Bates, who was supposed to tell the story of MultiversX. It was one of his mission. And in his post, Benny said that we don't need anyone to write our story. So the question is this like just bullshit to make the departure of Dan Bates okay? Or will it be something concrete through the community? I'm asking because some people like Subject and many others like really took some time to propose some narrative. And so if they don't have even an answer, or if they are not involved in any way in this kind of decision, could create a frustration. So that's the first part of the question. Maybe someone wants to answer this. Maybe a Subject. Yes, let's go.
So I think in terms of the narrative, I don't know if he's just looking for a tagline. You know, we keep seeing some of these little comments that Lucian has kind of put out, or Robert maybe like just shard it. These little 3-word taglines that kind of stick and they're a little catchy. I don't think that those really tell much of a story, because these guys, they're engineers, and no disrespect to the engineers, but if we want to break through to, you know, the mainstream, even though sharding, they're trying to make it a buzzword, it feels forced. I don't think that's ever going to catch on and be cool. It's not like just do it. It doesn't mean anything to people. Same thing with, you know, high bandwidth, low latency. We could say that a million times. It doesn't mean anything to most people, you know, and there's hundreds of blockchains that are pretty scalable now. So I'm a little bit worried that we're still kind of a
We'll
little too autistic for.
keep these ideas. They are very interesting. And guys, in a few minutes, like 2 or 3 maximum, we will deep dive in the definition. What is a narrative? What's the difference between the narrative and the baseline and so on? So keep these ideas. They are very cool. But just if someone wants to, try to answer my question. Of course, it's completely hypothetical because the sequence is not over. I hope, because when it started, when Benjamin asks to the community, but for now we don't know if the community will be heard. So maybe let's close this topic. If and nobody has answers, and I can understand it fully because it's still on like pending. We don't know. And let's try to, before someone has any ideas about the narrative, let's maybe try to define what is a narrative for layer one. If you took the example of Nike, just do it is a narrative, because this motto in sports, in your life, in everything, just do it, don't think, go and do it. It's something that they're surfing for years now, and all in their charity engagement, it's something that leads in their words and so on. So I think let's just do it is not just an empty words. It's something that they really want to spread in all their communication and marketing campaigns for years. So now we know. It's like Apple think differently. It's not just we think different. It's not just a baseline. It's how they build the product, how they communicate about it, and they want to disrupt the high technology by thinking differently. And they proved that they were able to do it. So it's, in my opinion, in the Web2 industry, what is a narrative. In the Web3 industry, we can maybe speak about Solana. It's the blockchain for startups. Okay, Ethereum, it's the universal computer. Bitcoin, it's the peer-to-peer e-cash. So this is something like what says what you are in a few words, and around this you build everything: the product, the communication, the marketing, the partnerships, the community. Everything is built around this. This is what I call a narrative, and not something on you surf for weeks and after you change. But maybe I'm wrong. I would like to have your opinion about that. Julian first, and after, just guys, feel free to say up so I know who wants to jump just after.
Yeah, so what you're describing is actually the branding. And the branding is something that you stick to it. Like you first define it, and it's not easy to define. I've tried it myself. I've worked in this domain. It's really hard to define because it, first of all, comes from the people you serve and what the problems you solve for them. So narrative, in my opinion, is something that you can ride a wave. Sort of, let me give an example. Like the whole woke narrative, let's call it a narrative, yeah. It was a kind of a wave that every company jumped on and rode it just because it was trending, and a lot of people, were in that and are actually in that position. But the branding stays. It's always just do it for Nike, And for example, in Web3, narratives are like the AI narrative. Every startup sort of started to find a way to integrate AI, or either in their products or in their branding somehow, or their positioning. Like, it's the blockchain for AI now, you know? What was before was the metaverse narrative, right? Everybody rode that wave. It quickly went away, like the NFT wave. So this a narrative, in my opinion, is something that floats somewhere, and you just have to catch it. But the branding is something at the core of your company.
I understand the difference, but the problem with this definition, maybe you're right in a academical point of view, maybe. Even if when I can see what is narrative in a dictionary, it's about like how you introduce yourself in a narrative way. But even if you're right, it does a layer one, is it its role to like um, launch a new narrative? I mean, the narrative in Web3 are more about the apps, you know, a big app, big game, big AI thing. They will launch, and after the layer one will be or won't be the good ones to launch it or to surf on it. But if you want to, for example, launch a new narrative around an industry, AI, gaming, etc., if you, I mean, is it the role of a layer one to launch such narrative? It's Joachim.
So it's a very tricky thing at what you're talking about, because as you say, like, I think we need to make a clear separation between narratives, branding, etc., for consumer facing products, and something that is more, I see it as more like a service provider, which is the blockchain. MultiversX provides a service which is a decentralized network to people, but also mostly to builders to build on top of. And that is where, and I feel like this is going to be my red line across the whole debate, is that a lot of tech companies that focus on builders don't really like communicate on, like, oh, we're going to be the next big guy, etc. What they actually focus on is implementing the tools that will allow for people to build the next narrative on the network, and counting on the projects and businesses that are running on the next narrative to pick their solution, and therefore bringing users on that. So I think, like, I feel there needs to be a shift from trying to be the one that creates the narrative or brings the narrative, to actually giving the best tools for that. And I feel like that's what we saw in the past couple of months with AI. We saw a hackathon for AI that quite a lot of few of us here participated in. And it gave tools, it improved solutions for people who wanted to build AI solutions on MultiversX. And I think that is kind of like more important than finding a good catchphrase.
Okay. Yeah, Julian.
Yeah, I agree with Joachim. Like, I don't think it's a layer one's responsibility to start a narrative. And you can't really, it doesn't start at a certain, I don't know, company or person, or like I said, it's something that just floats around. It's a wave that comes and goes, and it's more started by a group rather than a
It's
single
the
company.
market. The market
Yeah, it's
decides.
kind of the market. You can't really control the market. You can't predict the market. And I would more compare a narrative with a trend. Rather, I would put it closer to a trend rather than a brand story.
Yeah, I understand what you say, but what Benjamin is calling is not that. In my opinion, he's asking about what should be our next narrative, how we should tell our story. So so that's why I think you're
Mm.
right about the word narrative. We all know this word. We used it thousands of times before: NFTs, DeFi, metaverse, and so on. But in this case, in our case of MultiversX, with the ask of Benjamin, I think it's not about that. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is not how I understood it. Subject, let's go.
So, yeah, I think we kind of need all of the above, because if we don't define our identity, then other people will define it for us, because we don't want to be ghost chain. We don't want to be, the chain for dorks that care about TPS. We need to create an identity so that we can communicate about the chain for all kinds of users. And definitely for, you know, builders, they're going to have a little bit of a more sophisticated, understanding of what the technology can do. But we also need, regular people to use egld as money. And we need to find a way to compete in this space where everybody already knows Bitcoin as digital gold, or they know Ethereum as, you know, the the chain for DeFi. And so we need to find a space. It doesn't have to be just a tagline that is hollow, but we need to find a way to get people to orient to what this technology is. And to some degree, it's still evolving. I think that is one of our kind of interesting features is, I kind of think of egld as adaptive money, because we have the adaptive sharding, and we've had a rebrand, and we've had a change in our economic policy. But I think there's something resilient about the fact that this chain, it does evolve, and it does kind of adapt to, the changing environment and the changing landscape. And that's one thing that is a little bit unique, because people focus on Bitcoin and 21 million, and that it's not really changed too much over the years. We're pretty different in that.
It's
We
not
do evolve.
really correct. I mean, if you see the Web3 ecosystem this last month, it's a lot about Base, Solana, of course. It's also about Sui this last month, weeks. So it's possible for a layer one to emerge in the ecosystem for different reasons. Of course, these ones I just mentioned are like billionaires, so it's easier, but it's possible to emerge. It's not just about Bitcoin, even though the market, of course, Bitcoin is like overperforming the alt these last like 2 years. But yeah, normally it was about Misha, but Joachim wanted to ask a question to subject, if you agree, Misha.
Misha is too kind. He should have said no. Um, so, so you're saying, like, I get your point that you also want to communicate to regular users and not only builders. But like, for you, what would be, without going too in depth into it, what would be the messaging that makes EGLD stick out? Because like limited money, well, we're already having a debate of if that's going to be the case or not in the future. So let's not go down. And we have Bitcoin for that. But also like, I also think we need to separate speculation from payments, right? Like wanting to buy EGLD because we think it's going to appreciate in value is very different than wanting to use MultiversX as a payment layer, which again I think needs a layer of dApps to give that a nice experience. So what do you really think we can use EGLD or any other thing on MultiversX to attract users to use the chain at its purest? I mean, like without coming in, getting interested to MultiversX through a dApp, but directly to MultiversX, the chain.
So I think that kind of gets to a bit of the core of why it's been so hard for our community to understand the direction, because it does seem like we've had all of these pivots, And without really being inside Benny's mind, we don't know what, he has behind the scenes planned, or, what direction we're going. We used to have a very clear, message, egld. This is something you can buy, stake, hold. But now we don't really know, is the economic policy going to become more dilutive? Then, we're not really living up to the egld branding that we initially had years ago. That's not to say that, we can't, double down and kind of get back to the, hard money, scarcity, long-term store of value. I think that that's something that resonates, and it's a use case that applies to everybody in society. I think that we really need to get back to the foundation of, building the pyramid, have solid economics from the ground up, appeal to everybody. And then from there, people can go down the rabbit hole of experimenting with these more experimental use cases and NFTs and, all of the dApps that can be built.
So I'm going to quickly have an unpopular opinion on this. Is that like what the golden age of EGLD, when everyone, a lot of people got interested into it, etc., was at the launch of Maya, and basically we could like add friends, send money through with a phone number through contacts, etc. Like it was like this quite simple layer of a token, and there was nothing else on the chain. We didn't have Maya exchange. We were just waiting and staking our EGLDs patiently. And the reality is, I think we kind of remembered this with a form of nostalgia, and nostalgia has this tendency of making things look brighter than they used to be, because there was until quite later, and like many chains, we just had the native tokens and maybe a few ESDTs that we couldn't do much with. But the price of EGLD kept going up. So we were all excited because we were all making money, because we were all seeing the value increase. And so we were talking about it. We were getting a family of friends to install it. And like there was this kind of euphoria that I would say was price-based. And then we started getting dApps, etc., which kept the momentum going. But like the peak of EGLD is the launch of Maya Exchange. And after that is downhill and end of bull run, etc. But like after that is downhill. So I think we're kind of like trying to relive a thing that was actually very dependent on price performance today, that we can't control the performance of the token. So to get people interested to a token that went parabolic compared to a token that is now 95% down isn't the same thing, and is much more harder to sell.
I think one of our best narratives could be in it for the tech, because it's a little bit funny, and we are
if you agree,
still down
keep your
95%.
ideas for like in 2 or 3 minutes. I will let Misha, who wanted to speak a few weeks ago. So if Misha wants to jump, I'm trying to structure the discussion so we don't forget anything. So now the discussion is what is a narrative? What should be how to define what is the narrative, not the narrative in an academical point of view, but how Beniamin asked it. So how do you see this, Misha?
I want to quickly touch on what Joachim said. I think with EGLD price go up, it was very motivating for people to get in, to invite their friends also, because of the euphoria. But since then, we have seen so many new tokens launched, the whole new meme coin space, that they outcompete us simply by price go up. There's way too much competition there, that I think crypto now has to change towards being actually useful to people, solving problems. And this is what leads me to the whole narrative thing, because what we want to achieve, and I think that's also the best narrative that a blockchain, any blockchain, can have, and the one that does this the best will turn I think out as a winner, is that if you have to position yourself with the narrative so that when a user encounters a problem that your product, network, whatever can solve, that they think of you. And I think this is what we need to achieve, what we need to get close to with branding, with telling the narrative. And we can do this through the depths that we have. We can have useful products, applications. Whenever a business, for example, thinks of wanting to launch a loyalty program, we can have a product for that. They think of MultiversX because they have a very good product there. This can be payments. I owe my friend a few dollars for a pizza. I think of MultiversX because they position themselves that way, that I want to transfer them with low fees, instantly almost, through payments. So this is the way I think we have to go. Focus on the user problem and then tell the narrative from that point of view. And yeah, we have a lot of technical narratives going on. I think Subject mentioned this, or Joachim, that going that route can be dangerous. You can attract a lot of builders, but maybe not the users. And I think if you stick to a more, as a network, if you stick to a more global or a wider story that doesn't niche down to a single target audience, that is kind of broad, attracts builders, but also users, investors, then I think this can go a long way.
Thank you very much, guys. So let's start the brainstorm. I think Subject proposed a narrative. Maybe you guys too, but I don't remember. So in a very small talk, what, in your opinion, should be? Please mute your mic when you're not speaking. Thank you. Yeah. So what should be the narrative of MultiversX to take off? This is the the real question. So who wants to start? Let's go. It's Julian first.
Okay. So I made a post about this, but before jumping into it, I just want to clarify again that I'm not proposing a narrative per se, because I can't create a narrative. It's something you pick from what exists. What I proposed in that post was more of a positioning and storytelling of the brand, more like an idea more. So my idea was that egld blockchain, or MultiversX blockchain, whatever you want to call it, is the Tesla of blockchains, is the Apple of blockchains, and it's the Amazon of blockchains. So it's really a quick shortcut to tell somebody that is non-technical what MultiversX can be about, like in terms of speed, reliability, user and developer experience, performance, and so on. So this is like a very short pitch that you can tell somebody in the elevator. Another thing that I mentioned there is the storytelling, like where we are, when we began here to get here. And the story of the brand is important because it sets up the context and it positions you better. People remember the story. So, for example, how Google or Apple emerged. They emerged from a garage. They went through different challenges across. Steve Jobs was fired, and then he came back 10 years later or something like that.
We need to fire Benny.
I was just saying, like, if there was something we could reflect on our story and see how we can structure it and tell it, I think there would be more value here, and it would be more stable and, let's say, timeless, because it happened. It was real and it happened. Trends come and go. If you don't have a solid brand and solid story of your brand, no trend, no narrative will help you ever. It will go and you will be naked. It's like the wave just went away. And I tried in that idea of a story to connect the dots between Elrond, what was, and MultiversX, what is now. So basically, MultiversX is honoring the legacy of Elrond and is building on top of what Elrond has achieved. So in my view, Elrond has achieved its mission of building the fastest blockchain at that time and solving the blockchain trilemma. So basically, it checked the mark, and MultiversX was kind of the next level of this.
But like MultiversX was never the fastest blockchain. Who says that except Beniamin? Who has experienced the fastest transactions on MultiversX? So let's be concrete, not just in our club, okay? Someone from outside who tried Elrond and MultiversX, who said, oh, MultiversX and Elrond at the time was the fastest blockchain ever. Nobody.
I would actually debate that with you, because like now it's going back quite a lot, but the very very early days of Elrond, we had Ethereum and we had BSC and we had
Polygon. It was
yes,
Polygon
but
was
Polygon isn't fast.
Polygon is not a layer one.
Yeah,
so
Polygon
that's
is not layer one. But also Polygon.
But you said blockchain. You didn't say layer one. But the thing is the user making the difference between layer one, layer two, and Polygon is not even a layer two. It's a side chain. So, but does the user make the difference? No, at the time it was a side chain. It was not a layer two.
Yeah, but like when we compare it with when we compare it with Elrond, it was at the stage a layer two but it was actually the very first layer two of Ethereum too. But anyway, Polygon and Matic wasn't that quick at the time, and there was a lot of transactions getting hung up, etc. Waiting to be approved. So yes, I would actually debate that Elrond was offering one of the best transaction experiences Web3 had to offer. Secondly, I would say BSC. But yes,
it was faster on BSC. It was largely faster, but it was completely centralized. Only 12 nodes, but it was so much faster on BSC. Please remember.
BSC isn't 12 nodes. That is the other one, because there's a BNB chain and then there's the Binance Smart Chain. There was two chains. But anyway,
at the time it was BSC. It was not BNB at the time of Elrond. It was BSC. BNB chain arrived after, and it was 12 or
anyway,
14 nodes.
We're not going to redo the whole history, but the BSC was more decentralized than that. It had actively validates, etc. But and I would debate that it was similar speed to MultiversX, but with a very poor UX. So again, we're not going to go and a full debate of half an hour on who was the fastest.
No, actually, the thing is, when you try to print a narrative or to say we are the fastest, at the moment the user and the market must agree. You cannot be alone to be right. That's just my point.
But it's mostly like even if we were fast, there was nothing to do fast. So there's nothing to do fast. Like people aren't going to use the solution. If you're just going to kind of send EGLD back and forth to your friends, like it's cool. But like, so when we were one of the fastest, there was much to do. And then, as you say, Solana came, a lot of other L2s came, etc. And we weren't the fastest anymore by far. And now we're catching up.
Misha. Oh, we can
I
hear
was
you.
muted.
Yep.
Yeah. Regarding narrative, or the positioning, I think right now, or the reason why I stick through MultiversX and Elrond, for me, the narrative was always the same. I got into Elrond because I wanted to build the next generation of the internet. I wanted to be part of this. And this is true until to today. I haven't had a narrative that convinced me more. There have been many attempts, I think, with engines of truth, of freedom. I think they're very interesting on a more a philosophical level. But on a practical level, and I think what also is the most convincing for me is just we're building the next generation of the internet. And whenever someone asks me from family, friends, what are you doing? This is what I tell them, and what also sparks generally what I noticed the most interest. Hey, what is the next generation of the internet? Everyone knows what the internet is, so it's a clear thing. Or it's easy to imagine for them how the internet can improve, and that's very hard. Like with positioning right now for if you position with the truth engine, freedom engine, and all this, it's you're taking away a reference point for people to understand what you're talking about. And it's clear, for example, if you look at the iPhone back then, it was a big upgrade to the normal mobile phones that we had, but they position it as a better phone, not an engine of communication or anything. It's a phone. Everyone knows what the phone is, and people want to get on board by using the next generation of phone. You can develop apps on it. Also, you have a Tesla car, for example. Tesla is a big upgrade to cars that we have. Everyone knows what the car is. Even though Tesla is more a computer on a couple of wheels than a car, it's still a car that gets people from point A to point B. People know what a car is, and the same with the internet. Blockchain adds contracts to we have contracts in the real world. Now we have contracts in the internet. We have money in the real world. Now we have built-in money on the internet, all through blockchain. And I think that's why blockchain is what helps build the next generation of the internet, and what adds truly a lot of value. You can build so many new kind of apps that actually add value to people. And yeah, that's my narrative. That's why I stick through MultiversX and Elrond and MultiversX to the same narrative. And yeah, that's what gets me up every day and do the whole building journey.
Thank you, Misha. I have the echo. Subject, if you agree, I will give the mic to Sila, because actually I squeezed him before. Thank you, subject. Sila, let's go.
Yes, thanks. I agree with Misha. For me, Elrond becoming the internet at scale was the narrative that brought me here. It's something that anyone can understand. And for me, it also embodies the core value of blockchain, of what initiated Bitcoin and those movements, to have an internet where there is a unicity of assets. There is a decentralization where you don't need to trust other people, and especially the more important is the value created is owned by the users and not only by the big companies that are managing, for example, Facebook, that keep all the data, that sell the data and use it however they want. Instead, the blockchain becomes the internet at scale. We own our data, we manage it, and we are empowered by this. I think we've a bit lost this first narrative over the years, which I found was really good for the users, for the basic users, because they can understand and project themselves into what would be an internet blockchain, because they know what internet is. And it was not too technical for them, because when we talk about a truth machine or things like that, it's kind of technical about what is the truth machine, what is the impact, what is its important, etc. While actually the users, they want something that is fast, that is cheap, that allow them to earn money and to have fun. So that's basically everything. Few people are actually really focused on the tech, on the finality, on the Nakamoto's consensus on and everything like that. And that's why, for me, we need to have two narratives dedicated to two very different audiences. First is the users, with a simpler narrative, not really focused on tech, but on the experience they will feel while being part of the MultiversX ecosystem. And the second, which is even more important, is a narrative toward builders that can be more tech specific, going deeper in the inside, and especially focused on how the developer experience will be on here when they will build their project. And for me, this is really important to have this builder narrative to bring more builders, which will then attract more users with their own narrative, because each project can bring their own narrative, their own values, and what they want to achieve. So I think we need to have two different communication. For example, X Portal, what it's been doing is really good for talking to the users, and we could have the Multiverse Foundation who is more focused on builders and with clear and specific narratives that will really fit with the audience it's targeting.
Thank you, Sila. Subject?
So one thing that I think we've all got right is that we can't fake the narrative. It has to be authentic. Otherwise, other communities will quickly correct it for us. So yeah, I'd be curious if you guys could, maybe comment on this. Benny likes to repeat that we're the most advanced blockchain that is live now. And I'm just curious if you guys actually believe that, because when I use this chain, it's definitely great compared to what existed in blockchain years ago, but it doesn't feel like the number one blockchain, in speed. It definitely feels like the safest for me with the on-chain Guardian. And so, I think that's something that we can, still be, very proud about marketing, because, I've had my wallet drained on Ethereum. And, I know how much that sucks, and I never have to worry about that with MultiversX. And, that's something that I think is very appealing to, to be kind of a noob-friendly blockchain. And, maybe that's something that we can, really advocate and make, clear that this is a blockchain that is built different than Ethereum. And that's safety is a big thing for people who really don't like block crypto in general. A lot of people don't like the gambling association, and so I think that's something that goes a long way to giving people a sense of security.
It's a very important question, is how people feel about the blockchain, because you can repeat every day, every second, that your blockchain is the most advanced, the fastest, the best, the most secure. And so you can repeat it every day, every day, every day. If the one that are using it don't feel like it, or it's not easy for them to defend this position outside, it will not work. So basically, I think MultiversX has a very good decentralization, speed, and security ratio, because the blockchain has more than the 3,200 nodes. It's way, 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 way more than any other blockchain that we know. But people don't care about this ratio. What they want is scalability. It's all about UX. Okay, you want that your transaction goes very fast. You don't want to wait 6 seconds. It's not possible in 2025. About security, the past has proved that we have on Ethereum and on all the EVM blockchains the risk to be drained, and people are staying on EVM blockchains. So security, well, it's important, but until it affects me directly, I don't really care. And about this decentralization, we know that they don't give a shit. On Solana, on Sui, it's not decentralized that much. On Aptos and so on. So I think what they want is scalability and an ecosystem, dApps, developers, a community, inspiring founders, effective marketing, and of course, they want a token that pumps. That's, in concrete terms, what people want when they arrive, when they discover a blockchain. The rest is just for yeah, for tech guys. That's my opinion. So Joachim wanted to, yeah, it was Joachim. Yeah, let's go.
Indeed, I want to give my grain of salt. So you're going to present yours anyway right after GRM because we are extremely aligned. So I'm not going to repeat something similar to your ideas. I'm actually going to take a different than the one I stand close to my heart, but I think it's important. Wait. Yeah, I kind of agree with what Crypto Jones is saying. So I think there is one thing that is really good because it can talk to tech people, it can talk and it can talk to users at the same time, is true ownership. For me, true ownership is something that is very proper to the blockchain in the digital realm, right? You will be happy and you will own nothing. Is a very familiar web slang of modern era where we're paying subscriptions for everything. We don't own anything. There was this big, for example, case between I think it was Bruce Willis and Apple in the fact that he just had realized that when he dies, his massive iTunes collection, which I know sounds very old-fashioned now, but wouldn't go to anyone because he didn't actually own the music. He was just licensed at life to use it for his own purpose and wasn't allowed to pass it further. And we have a lot of that with different types of licenses. So to the consumer, the fact that like now there's a subscription for everything, we don't own anything, I feel is something quite close and a problem, and also owning our data, etc. But also on the tech side, with the ESDT standard, with again, with even the security aspects of on-chain governance, etc., we do have this benefit of being able to say, actually, on this chain, you really own your token. They are allocated to you on protocol level. Which is different from EVM, etc. And I think that like the benefit of the true ownership narrative is that it can talk to so many actors again in gaming, etc. And it can be adapted to new, again, to separate narrative from trends, to new trends. We can adapt the ownership part to work with the ongoing trend and kind of have this continuous red line of ownership while adapting to newer trends.
Before I give the mic to Sila, let's challenge a bit this what you say. You sent me a video on YouTube, Joachim, a few days ago about the ownership. We don't own anything actually. It was about like Netflix and so on, like or even on gaming. When you buy some extension live, and when the extension is removed from the server, you paid it but you don't have it anymore. You just have a license about it, and so it was related to what you just said. The thing is, of course, the users would love to own things more. That was the narrative about around NFTs. You own your art and so on. But the actors of the industry, gaming, media, entertainment, and so on, actually, we can see that they don't want to go that path. So can you compete with these big industry actors of the industries by, I don't know, like launching a game, for example? Remember that MultiversX wanted to launch X World. It was like a metaverse built by themselves when you can own your own stuff, and they gave up because you cannot compete at the moment against Ubisoft or big other like Steam and so on. So that there's a reality. So what you say, in my opinion, is utopic. It's good for the users, but yeah, I let you answer, and
I'll reply to that because it is a very interesting topic. Again, like I think MultiversX took more than they could chew when it came to the whole metaverse, because Meta is paying billions every year to try to get something, and there's no one on their metaverse. The only thing that's getting remotely close is Fortnite, and on Fortnite again, you don't own anything, etc. But I think yes, big actors will always try to find a way where they can extract the most money. That is why Adobe went from licenses for Adobe Photoshop that would last your lifetime if you didn't want to upgrade to the very last. etc. And then now we got Adobe Stock, which and Adobe Cloud, which costs a fortune every month, and probably in 2 years you've paid what the license would have been for a lifetime. But anyway, yes, there is obviously greed in all this. But the reality is, in the early 2000s, there used to be a massive problem is it depends on the point of view. There used to be a lot of piracy. You all know not BitTorrent, uTorrent, and all those solutions that allowed us to download music and movies, etc. And that kind of disappeared when Netflix came, because suddenly there was this library that we had to just pay like 5 to 10 euros a month, and suddenly we had massive content. And now it's starting to split because there's so many service providers. They all ask for 15 to 20 euros a month to use, etc. So piracy is actually coming back. And there is a lot of interesting topics about this, because there is something that is called DRM, basically that is how a file is encrypted so it can't be read without being approved by a third party. So for example, if you download a file on Netflix or YouTube to watch offline, it will be accessible because it has a key inside the app for a certain amount of time, and then you will need to reconnect with the server to be able to decrypt it again, etc. So there is a world, again, probably I agree with you that I'm probably a bit too optimistic, but there is a world where we see new actors and new standards that allow for on-chain DRM, meaning that it will verify that you actually own the digital asset you're trying to watch, rent, whatever, on-chain, to be able to decrypt it and watch it. And that would, as you say, allow for ownership while still keeping control for companies, and ensuring that you can't make, as we use keys, etc., to share with each other, that you could not longer do that because you'd have to actually send the ownership entirely to someone else to interact with.
Before I give the mic to subject, let's say goodbye to Julian. Thank you very much for coming.
Goodbye, everyone. It was a really great talk. I really liked the ideas that have been expressed, and it's really, it's really refreshing to see more point of views.
See you around, Julian. Take care.
Yeah. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Subject, let's go.
So ownership is interesting because one of the things that we've seen this year, this cycle, is that a lot of people, especially the new money coming into crypto, really doesn't care about ownership. We're seeing a lot of ETF products really soar, and a lot of my friends that, they're just kind of passive investors. They don't own their own Bitcoin. They might have IBIT, or they might indirectly own it, but ownership is not really, I think it's what attracted the hardcore, early people to crypto. And it's still, obviously, one of the main reasons being a sovereign is, that's a big part of it. But for the new money coming into crypto, I don't know if the hardcore old school crypto ethos is as important, which doesn't mean that we shouldn't market ourselves that way, but we also aren't the only chain that provides that. So, in terms of a narrative or an identity, I don't know if that really differentiates us, from other chains. I think that it's still, definitely something we should talk about and educate people about. But in terms of finding an identity, I don't know if that's really going to strike a motivational or a deep emotional chord with a lot of people.
100% agree with you, subject. I think, of course, the ESDT is a standard, very interesting. You own the token. It's not a smart contract. You cannot be drained. All of this is great, but it's not new, and it has never worked before to attract people. Massively. I'm not sure that MultiversX is the only one on this, because when you're on the blockchain, it's known. I don't know if it's true technically, and I think people don't care about it. But when you're on the blockchain, you own your asset if you have the keys. So it's not just about MultiversX; it's about the type of custodial that you're using. So I'm not sure it's strong enough and differentiating enough to work at a big level.
That's why I would love to discuss this with you, but I don't think a narrative needs to be something you are the only one doing. It can be like something that is actually other blockchains are capable of doing in different ways, but that is your main focus. It is what you use as communication method to onboard builders and users. Because by the end of the day, like, except again, maybe on-chain UFA, where I think there's maybe one other chain that does it, but like, by the end, there's so many chains nowadays that you're never going to be unique in something. Like even the SDT standard isn't, well, is unique in fact that it's called ESDT, but like there's other chains that have object-oriented ownership now. So like even all the, like, there's nothing that is entirely proper to MultiversX, and I think like by trying to stick out too much, we kind of like, well, stick out like a sore thumb. Like it's not flattering, because by the end we're all trying to do the same thing.
But the problem is, and it's something that I repeated before, it's what works today is enough. So except the current standard fails in a massive way, it will be difficult to change it. So let's speak about the ownership. Okay, on MultiversX, you own your asset maybe more than someone than somewhere else. Okay, but like nobody cares about it, except if there is like a big fail on another blockchain. It's the same for decentralization. We can argue that we are the most decentralized chain and so on. People don't care about it, except if I don't know, like Sweep, for example, who only has 100 nodes, has a big Byzantine attack, and then maybe people will be aware of, oh, I should maybe go on a more decentralized chain. So this kind of narrative is a bit risky because you depend on the fail of your competitors. But Misha wanted to say something. I give you the mic.
Yeah, regarding ownership, I think like what we're talking about here is mostly traits of a product. And when I say product, I mean MultiversX as a network is a product too that we try to sell to users. But comparing it to iPhone, for example, when iPhone launched, what was big was multi-touch. And that is also a trait of the product. There's different kinds of traits. You know, we have the transparency, we have cheap transactions. These are all traits of the product. And I don't think like we can market them, but not each trait, like ownership, speaks to all users. So I would, in the end, not make these kinds of traits what we try to convince users of, but make this all part of a bigger story. And yeah, that's my point for this part. And you asked before, is MultiversX the most advanced blockchain? That's something that we hear a lot, and I would say personally yes, because if you combine this by design, MultiversX was designed to have all these traits, learn the lessons from what didn't work, and have them the most optimal they can be. We mentioned guardians, we mentioned the true ownership. We have sovereign chains. Even we have the space VM that is able to run multiple, interpret multiple languages of smart contracts that they're written in. We have super fast speeds. All of this make a great product that could tell an incredibly big, attractive story to builders, to users, to all kinds of people. And regarding the failing, I agree with you, and I think that's a big thing. Scalability is also a trade of the MultiversX network, right? And I don't think another blockchain has to fail completely to bring users to MultiversX, but only in one of those trades. So if a user gets burned on Ethereum because of a wallet issue or because of a seed phrase leak, then this problem or this this issue for the user can bring them to MultiversX, where we have the beta trades, which is two-factor authentication on chain. If a blockchain like Solana doesn't manage to produce to process all the transactions during a time of congestion, then this failing where Solana fails in that scalability trade might bring builders who are kind of annoyed from Solana being able to process, or any other network, bring them to MultiversX. So whenever someone fails in a trade, they might choose another network. And I think MultiversX, because to answer the question, is the most advanced in having the most optimal trades, the set of trades for all kinds of ways, functionalities, or whatever you want to do for builders, for users, for anyone, investors.
Thank you, Misha. Sajjad, you wanted to say something?
So, yeah, I think coming back to, why Benny is, calling on us to come up with a narrative, or, put our ideas out there, is that we don't have time to capture people's attention and explain, all of these things, ownership. We have to resonate with something that's emotional and has broad appeal. And, like he said, we have to really kind of dumb our messaging down, for non-tech people. And so, I think that with the brand that we already have, if we are sticking with MultiversX, he keeps making jokes about Elrond, and it seems like there could be another rebrand coming. I don't know if that's serious or if he's just kind of stirring the pot a little bit. But, when I think about MultiversX, he's always thinking something hyper, something, exponential. That we've talked a lot about how that can be a little bit cringy, especially if, if the market's down, or if we're not quite delivering to that degree, and if we're not standing out, to 10 times better than our competitors, then that can come across as a bit cringy. But the X is such a disruptive and defiant letter. I feel like that's something that has to be part of the branding. I'm a little bit almost. I'm excited for Benny coming to America, but it seems like there's definitely an opportunity to do something that's defiant in Europe, and really, coalesce our identity in a way that's very authentic, and where the story just emerges naturally. If we did something that is illegal, even, or, I kind of worry about Robert just getting incarcerated because, if he says the wrong thing. I don't know if that's just, the American media playing it up too much, but I think most Americans, when we hear about Europe these days, we're pretty fearful for your guys' freedoms, because, it seems like, that's a legitimate threat, that there's a lot of encroachment on civil liberties over there now.
Definitely. Let me give you some proposition of narratives that I have talked about for years, because you guys, like me, are on MultiversX for years now. It was 2021 for me. I don't know about you, but yeah, we've been there for years now, so we have some experience. It's been years that I think that MultiversX, instead of going to the United States, where everybody's going, and when it's so hard to be big in such market, could have been the blockchain for those who can't access blockchain. I mean, east of Europe, Africa, emerging countries, it's difficult for them to use and to understand blockchain. With our very good UX, with X Money, which provide payment services, would have been interesting to be in these countries where unbanking is massive to provide these financial services. And because MultiversX was born in Europe, we have all the experience and we have all the relation, and above all, MultiversX had, because it's less now, a big French community, and the French speaking in Africa, French speaking countries are numerous. They are less and less, but they are still numerous. So this kind of positioning could have been interesting, but they decided to go to the United States. Of course, it's maybe more glamour to go to the US, startup, Silicon Valley, and so on. But the truth is, it's very hard because there are so many actors and cost millions just to be seen. So it's one of the narrative I've been promoting for years, so Joaquin can tell. What do you think about this? Could have been, because I think now it's too late, but could have been something concrete with a direct go-to market, and in response to a real need of these countries and population. I don't know what's your take on this. I think we never discussed it with you guys. Sila?
I wanted to say that I believe blockchain, especially Bitcoin, has been used for a few years yet in Africa, especially for payment, as you said, for people who can't be banked, because they use a layer to be able to use the blockchain without having internet connection, only through a cell phone SMS, I believe, and that enabled them to do peer payments when banks wouldn't accept them. So I think crypto has already been used in Africa, and for me, it's one of the core example of the key value of crypto and blockchain technology. And Africa is somewhere where the blockchain technology is even more valuable, I think, than in Occident, because for us, okay, we can use some tool, we can do some DeFi, etc., but it doesn't really change our life. Instead, while in Africa, people are really living again because they can access to finance and loans and things like that. But yeah, I think it would have been a good point to focus on that point, to have a really smooth user experience to allow anyone to access finance, loans, payments with or without internet, because in Africa there is not always internet. So yeah, I think it would have been really good to focus on that point, but we missed. Maybe it's not too late.
I really like that idea. There's a bit of an echo. We're good. So because like there's this really good book called Cloud Money that talks about this in a very depth. It's not focused on blockchain. There's a small chapter on blockchain, but it talks about like how Western Union takes insane fees on any payments, etc. And like I think that like this is a niche in the blockchain world, which is payment for developing countries, and
The
it is
remittance, it's a very, very big market.
yeah
It's more
yes, but
than
it's like
subvention from
uh,
for these countries. It's not a niche.
no
Remittance
it
is. I don't think remittance must be the narrative. Remittance is part of the financial inclusion in these kind of countries. But sorry to
yeah
interrupt.
no but like I'm saying niche in the sense that you actually focus highly on something very specific rather than trying to be an all-englobing thing. But yeah, like I think, and that's where we have a tendency to blend payment and finance and DeFi together. And I think that's where we kind of like we focused a lot. Like I'm talking about in general, but also MultiversX on DeFi. While payment, like if you do send money to family on the other side of the world, etc., you obviously don't want to send a volatile currency. You want to send stable coins, and that's why stable coins are so big, right? Because they give us an anchor into well, and you're sure that it's going to be accepted by most people. If you start, let's say, like if in a world where there is 3-4 blockchains that have become very good in payment and are being used in continents like Africa, suddenly if they would all need to be compatible with the native token of each blockchain, etc. No, the reality is that there's going to be 1 or 2 stable coins that everyone's going to accept, and that's how it's going to work. And as you say, like I think like a very good UX facility to use offline possibilities, which by the way, bit of off topic, but this talks about think about it. Sui actually create something quite cool on their own wallet. Is that you can actually send a transaction by SMS. And I thought that we need to do that. It doesn't sound very complicated to do, and it would be quite fun. Exactly, Michel. But yeah, no, basically that you send a text message and it is your transaction already hashed and signed, etc. And I guess just the person receiving the SMS, the entity receiving the SMS, just transmits that. And it's very cool because like it's very niche. Like most of the people will never use that functionality, but there is that time when you don't have signal and suddenly you need to make a payment. And there's a very good thread about it, and I'm going to stop babbling about Ticketmaster and ticketing. It's like the number of times where people find themselves waiting at the line for a festival or a concert, the signal is poor, everyone is spamming the Ticketmaster API, so Ticketmaster is slow to respond, and you have to wait to get in, etc. All those things are problems that can actually be solved with a more decentralized and not as dependent on strong 4 or 5G signal. So there are a lot of use cases where I think like if we put the energy and the focus, we could actually stick out. But again, we need to find what to focus on and how to focus together.
Thank you very much, guys. If you guys have anything to add about this narrative topic, say it now or shut up forever, because we're moving to the next topic just after. So, who wants to say a last word about it? Of course, this topic is not over because narrative. We'll see what will be the next narrative. We'll see if the community has been heard by the core team, and we'll see if how the community will be involved in this, because now we are the new CMO. When I say we, I don't know if Beniamin was thinking about me especially, but you guys, I think you are the new CMO. Subject quickly. Let's go.
Yeah, I think just my last thought is, I hope that whatever we come up with, it helps orient people on how to use the tech. Again, I think that we can think of a million ways that crypto could be used, but are these really problems for people? Is payments really, for the average person, a big problem? Not really, but I do think that store of value is something that everybody, is really suffering with. Being able to preserve wealth is something that appeals to everybody. And, I hope that we do get back to egld as hard money. That's my hope.
I kind of quickly disagree with you on that. Like to be worried about the value of money, you need to have money in the first place. The majority of the people live paycheck to paycheck. So like, and that's my issue with DeFi and with like over collateralized lending, etc. Is that like it talks to people who already have massive capital and that have luxury problems. I think we should rather focus on solving everyday people's problems.
I just read a post about the new Google. A few weeks ago, we said in the show, it was the French show, that soon nobody will use Google anymore because we all ask AI about our research. When you want to reserve tickets, when you want to know anything about everything, you just ask AI, and we will more and more. And there, like Google just launched, just talked about the tomorrow of Google, and it will be all AI. I mean, there will not be like the research bar. You will just talk to an AI, and it will search. So that's the new narrative for Google. And that's interesting how they surf on the AI trend because they know it's here to stay, and how they build hard, they build strong. Of course, I will let you read and know more about this new announcement about Google. But this is how I think Multiversity should do it. If they want to go AI, okay, let's go, but let's go strong, because the market will not wait, the competitors will not wait, and you're already late about AI because AI agent was over when you started to speak about it. Just an example of a trend that you missed, but it's not too late. So let's move to the next topic. I wanted to come back to the bug of last week. It will be very fast. I just have one or two questions, especially for Joachim and Sila, but of course, Subject and Misha can intervene if they want. The report of incident was published a few hours ago. Just for those who are listening to us, did you read it? Do you think it's complete? And I did not read any apologies. Is it normal in such event that the core team don't apologize, even if the blockchain was at risk, our funds were at risk, and it was completely their mistake? Or it's not, I'm not a tech guy, so, or it's not, it's completely normal not to apologize, but to bring solution, a fix, a batch, more security, and so on. So that's my few questions. I don't know who wants to start. Maybe Joachim.
Sure, I'll be the unpopular kid. So I read the report, and as we discussed, and I can say this publicly, one of the reasons why I wanted to do the last week the go through what had happened, etc., at the best of the knowledge at that time, was because we wanted people to have all the information they could and do their own research before the report came out, so they could have their own opinion too. Because we have to remember that this is not a third-party report. This is a report done by the team who was victim of an incident. So it is obviously biased, like everything is. So to the apology part, I don't know. I don't think it tends to happen. It would be more on a personal level. It wouldn't be in the report itself. It would be more like a founder or co-founder or the person responsible apologizing, not in the report itself. You have a tendency to have a third-party report, and especially when you spend so much money on auditing, etc., you would kind of like, again, a third-party report would give a more neutral point of view, even if you've paid them. That's not the point. And there is obviously, again, it is, as I said, like I suspect to be, it is sugar-coated. I think it underplays the risk that it could have been, but that is normal and to be expected. And most of all, the thing that bothered me a bit was and we discussed it, was the definition of a white hat hacker. This was not a white hat hacker. If it was, it would be the first time a blockchain goes down because of a white hat hacker. So I guess that is one thing. But like a white hat hacker would have sent the report in privately, would have explained the bug, wouldn't have done it on mainnet, would have done it on DevNet in a discreet way. This was someone who most likely tried to game the system. Maybe again made a mistake when minting the USDCs and minted a bit too many. Because that's also a part that isn't mentioned properly in the report. Is like, and Sila explained it very well in his thread, and I'll let him do the rest afterwards. Is that like, yes, he burned everything he initially minted, or nearly. But then he reminted again a smaller amount once he realized that he had minted too much. So like, and then he tried to sending funds. Well, he actually sent funds to central exchanges, etc. So you can talk about a gray or a black hat. But I think, like, for anyone who has worked a tiny bit with cybersecurity, they know that this isn't white hat behavior, because a white hat would never actually do something without the authorization of the entity they are doing it with. So I think that is like one very important thing that I think is using in the report to feel like everything was under control, when no, it was a rogue actor who was trying to game the system because he had found a bug.
GRM, quick question for you. Didn't you want to get the guy on the show?
Sorry, can you repeat?
I think I've read somewhere that you wanted to were close to getting the guy the exploiter onto your show last week, or did it happen?
No, actually, no. No. It's not like it was not planned for him to come. What I know is he should normally post something soon about it. But no, of course, I invited him. You know, guys, I invite everyone here. But no, he did not want to make it.
Yeah, maybe to quickly give my input there. I think the exploiter, he's called like black hat, white hat, gray hat, and all this. I personally think he's a no hat hacker, mostly a normal user who just discovered an issue. And like when you play a game, I played the game when I was younger. There was this cheat code, "Who's your daddy?" And then you minted like millions of gold in the game, and you could do whatever you want. Kind of like the same thing here. I think what happens, you get on a high, you do things, experiment, and then only later realize that you've done some wrong. I mean, this is clearly something illegal if that would have extended. So there are probably some contracts going on behind the scenes. So that's why he probably didn't come up. But yeah, that's my take on it. I don't think it's a white hat or gray hat, black hat, anything. And of course, you have to halt the blockchain once these things become public, because you will quickly, and also the report mentions this, you will have other people try to exploit this too. And this is also mentioned in the report, and I think also what led to the
Yeah, just a quick thing. I really like your thing of like a no hatter, in the sense that it isn't someone who does this, like it's not their job, and they most likely stumbled across that error. But like the reality is, and that's where like the whole high party I disagree with, is again, from as Sheila explained in the thread and as we discussed last week, the error was discovered a month ago. And then there was small experimentations with smaller tokens and smaller amounts that went unnoticed. And then he decided to go the big thing. Like if he was on the high when he discovered it in the first time when he minted the 100,000 lux, I think it was, he would have gone on the spree straight away. So no, my pure speculation. He realized the bug, tried to communicate with the team. Maybe got ignored. Maybe they didn't been taken seriously. Waited a bit, and then was like, "Fuck it," and decided. Again, pure speculation, but it kind of gives this vibes from the activities on the Explorer.
We'll see. We'll see if we have more information soon. What is interesting and what I thought about yesterday is I haven't read any founder or core team members from other blockchain attacking MultiversX after what happened. Whereas we know that Robert and others are the first to attack their competitors when they encounter a bug, a problem, a breakdown, and so on. So I launched a question, a poll on my X. Why do you think nobody talked about MultiversX bug outside of MultiversX? Is it because nobody care about MultiversX? They don't even know. Is it because they are maybe more humble and they know that it could happen to them anytime? Because we can remind the audience, what happened on MultiversX can happen everywhere. Everybody can forget, can make a mistake in the code. It's part of the game. Or is it maybe because I haven't seen them in my feed, and maybe many people from outside of MultiversX attacked MultiversX, but I haven't seen them in my feed. So what's your position about that? because in my opinion, it says a lot about MultiversX, about the founder, the core team members, and about the atmosphere on X around the blockchain. Do you have a take on this? No?
Sure. We did get, but not from other co-founders or other C-levels and other chains. We did get a bit of bash from well-deserved bash, from users from other chains. But most of them were users that already have a foot or know about MultiversX. I think this is like, as we're discussing, like it's kind of the blessing and the nightmare of MultiversX is that like, because we aren't as interoperable with other chains, etc., with one main bridge and then there's a second one, but also like in the mind share, MultiversX has a very low percentage of that. When something good or bad happens, it doesn't tend to ripple the whole Web3 ecosystem. But also, I think there is a bit of respect through it. A bit. We saw it also with the massive hack of the exchange, how the other exchanges helped each other, etc. Because, and I think like this is a question of point of view. Web3 and blockchain is not a zero-sum game in the sense that we haven't acquired all the users in the world and now we're fighting between each other to attract it. There's a very low percentage of users that have interacted with a blockchain, and instead of fighting each other, let's just like grow the pie bigger. And that's the kind of mentality that we're seeing from a lot of founders and C-level people that I wish certain people on MultiversX also had, instead of constantly bashing. Because like the issue with it is that yes, certain parts, for example, the experts on EVM, etc., I agree that they're bad, and like we can have healthy discussions about it, etc. But like bashing that every week, every time there's a hack, etc., basically you're just increasing the negativity around blockchain in general. So a person coming from externally saying that is just like, okay, so blockchain isn't secure, is basically what this guy is telling me. So we're not going forward by actually attacking each other. And maybe, I know we said that already last week, and you're not convinced here, but maybe that is kind of a lesson out of the last events. But yeah, I would love to hear the thoughts of the other fellow builders here.
Who wants to jump on this? You don't have to. Let's be clear. When I submit the topic, you can pass if you want. No. It's not mandatory to speak. Let's go, Sila.
Personally, I was quite surprised to see so few bash from other communities. I expected the Solana communities to be way harsher on this event because luckily for us, nothing happened basically, but it could have been disastrous on the whole ecosystem. So it's I was surprised to not see that much negative reviews. But as you say, this also shows that MultiversX doesn't have much highlight in the global blockchain ecosystem, and even something that can be really important for us doesn't ring a bell much for the other ecosystem. So it's also a bad news in itself to see that, as CryptoJumps wrote, no news article were made about this. So while it's 150 quadrillion dollars, so it's 4,000 times the USA debt. So it's a lot, but there is no news coverage about it. So that shows that we have a lack of global awareness, and even if there is such an event, people would not read or would not be that interested in anything multiverse related, unfortunately.
First time ever, lack of marketing is a good thing for MultiversX. Okay, thank you guys for this. Before we move to the last topic of today, I would like to thank the second sponsor, the second partner of a GM Web3 dedicated to MultiversX every Wednesday at 8 a.m. UTC live on X, Twitch, and YouTube. It's eApes. eApes is one of the biggest and the oldest NFT project on MultiversX. They've been through everything, the hype, the crash, the bear market, everything, and they are still here. They are still building. They are working on a new collection of 3333 NFTs, and they will launch it on Solana to explore a new ecosystem, a new tech, a new community, and so on. And yeah, they are supporting GM Web3 for a month now. And thank you to Mercy, the founder, and the whole team for this. And they are offering $15 in their token, the eApes token. All you have to do is to quote tweet the show on X, and you can find their 15. We are on MultiversX, brother. We are all poor. 15, not 50. But 15 today can worth way more later. Anyway, so you can find their link on the description of the YouTube video. So guys, the last topic, and we are really into it because it's completely recent. It's not possible that you missed it. Yesterday, MultiversX decided to launch a new X account, MultiversX Foundation. This X account will be dedicated to the institutional news, serious account, we can say, okay? And the historical MultiversX X account will be more fun, more degen, more memes, more with an intern, as we can see, for example, on X Portal, something very fun, very fast, no caps, you know what I mean. So it's very new. And at the same time, they released a video with people warming up before a sport competition. So, first of all, this distinction between MultiversX and MultiversX Foundation, what, according to you, what is it? Why do you think they did this? Yeah, it's the first question, and after we'll speak about the warm-up new marketing sequence that seems to start now. Who wants to say about this? Saila is first.
Personally, I think it's a good news, and it matches what I was thinking about having two narratives, one for users and one more serious for builders and institutionals. Maybe this comes from the X Portal account, who was more like this fresh town, friendly, joking, being more in the instantaneous news. And they felt that it was working. The community received it well, and this is why they want to continue in this trend with a more global MultiversX account that will have this kind of tone, while it's important to also keep serious institutional builders a tone that will more match this kind of audience. And that's why I think having those two separate accounts is a good thing to target specific audience and have the keywording and all the tone atmosphere that will match what they are looking for.
Okay. Misha?
Yeah, basically what Silas said. I think it's good. Like there was always this dilemma, I think, where on one hand you want to be professional, appear to investors, the ones who watch us silently. You want to have a professional image. But on the other hand, you have the community, the more playful side. I think they've experimented very well with the X Portal account. It's very engaging. And it fits the platform as well. Like X is not to be serious, right? Like there's a there's a different audience for LinkedIn and for X, and the content you want to post and the content that's native to the platforms. And yeah, I think long term, I'd be curious like to experience with new platforms too. Maybe TikTok, get some users there. You know, the younger generations, maybe appeal to them. Maybe not. Let's see. Definitely the experimentation, iteration, try different channels can be super interesting, maybe useful. We've seen so many new applications, not just crypto, but SaaS applications, the software as a service, really like gain momentum on platforms like TikTok. So I think that there's a lot of potential there. And now that we have these separations between professional and more playful, that's a good foundation to have here. And yeah, that's basically my stance on it. I hope to see maybe one more thing. It's also curious, like if this comes with structural changes of legal entities behind this, you know, maybe they have some changes there to prepare for some fundraising. Let's see. I'm very curious about this, and yeah, I think we all have to wait and see.
So yeah, I think it's really good to see that we're maturing as an ecosystem, and I don't think they would be doing this if they weren't preparing for onboarding more serious and traditional large funds. So hopefully it's signaling a big wave that's coming, but hopefully it's not just that, signaling something just for the hype, and hopefully that it's also backed by acting like a foundation that is protecting the network. And I'm still pretty shocked to see that the transition from Elrond to MultiversX was done kind of behind closed doors, without more communication with the community. Unless we have a master plan where we're going to be, brought under Elon's wing. I mean, it seems like a pretty big gamble for a network that was worth in the billions to just kind of pursue a metaverse fantasy. That seems like bad stewardship. So I'd like to see that we actually do have a foundation that is more mature and acts in a more serious way going forward.
In addition, I think as has been discussed in the past, the foundation is going to get a new president, right? I believe it was Lucien Mincu, or still is Lucien Mincu, who is the president of the MultiversX Foundation, which is a separate legal entity. I think it's registered in Liechtenstein, but don't quote me on that. And the issue, as you all say, I think like the separation of MultiversX as a private entity who has been contracted in a sense by the network to maintain it and to add new features like Andromeda, Supernova, etc., but also products which they've dialed down recently due to I guess the quite high cost and low success rate of their past products, and also the separations of entities like Exporter, like Launchpad, etc. And I'm seeing it as a very positive sign that this is moving forward, and that we're seeing that not only like being said quickly, but actually having separate accounts, separate communication, etc. Because there is, again, MultiversX Labs should. Thank you, Sila, for confirming Liechtenstein. Someone's doing the work in the background. I appreciate that. So basically, the as of now, basically all decisions were taken by MultiversX, the development company, and the foundation were kind of taken hand in hand. And there is a form of conflict of interest because those decisions would be taken by the same people. Having separate entities where there can be healthier discussions on what needs to be prioritized for the good of the network and what MultiversX Labs gets quoted for doing is very different from just running whatever they feel like. So I do really hope that we're going to get an external yet grounded in Web3 president of the foundation that might put more focus on attracting builders and building the network in general, and having again MultiversX Labs focus on development further, and having a bit of fun on Twitter, because I think we'll agree that the exportal account is what we wished we had more of on Twitter for the last few years.
Thank you very much, Joachim. I pretty much agree on everything that you just said. And indeed, the community wanted to see progress in fundraising also, because on the first post, they say that institutional are entering. So we could imagine at the beginning that maybe they managed to raise fund through institutional, so VCs or something like that. Of course, we also can anticipate a separation between the commercial company and the foundation with the hiring of a new president, whom will be different than the Mincus, maybe more USA oriented, and maybe more experienced in this thing, and less tech, we can say. And some people also wanted to see this change as a copy of export of communication, because we can see that the community really like what Exportal is doing, me first. So yeah, I think MultiversX wanted to maybe take a bit of this attention. We'll see if it will work. As I was saying on X when I discussed with some member of the community, I think we need to be careful, because being fun is good, but depends on the vision. You know, Exportal vision is clear. Okay, it's a multi-chain wallet related to, and linked to many communities with a very appropriate and interesting approach with meme coins and so on. And so it's clear. Now we have the most secure, the most advanced layer one in the world. It's not very fun, you know. And after what happened last week, being secure, being fun, yeah, we need, I think, to be clear about the vision, because if not, it will just be fun and nothing else. So funny, fun things can bring value, but for this we need to have a clear vision. So we go back to the first topic of today, the North Star. So in terms of communication, okay, it's cool to have memes with an account with more than 1 million follower. Okay, but let's be clear about the ambition of this. And for now, it's not really clear. It's more like a move, an experimentation. So we'll see. But it was not just about creating this new X account. It was also about starting a new campaign called Warmup, with a video on which you can see some sports people, men, women, handicapped people, invalid people. I don't know how to say, but I hope you got it. So diversity, and they are all warming up before a sport competition. So is it a new soon? Looks like it. Because when you warm up, it's because soon you will compete. You will make an effort. You will deliver a competition. You will do something. So is it a new soon? Or do you think it's something different? That's the question the whole community, I think, is asking at the moment, because one more soon could be one more soon.
Maybe they're just warming up for the Sibiu marathon that is this weekend.
For the what?
Sibiu marathon.
Oh, you think it's just about it because they will be
No,
a
I'm
sponsor of the competition? Because I think they were sponsored the
they
years
are sponsor
before.
they are
They are
sponsors.
sponsors. Okay, so do
Yes.
you think it's just about that?
No. I'm just
No.
messing with you. I
Okay.
just felt it's funny because it's a sports event and warming up,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah,
But I do hope for every. I think quite a few people would feel a bit disappointed if that's the case.
do you think?
But hey, lower your expectations.
Okay, so what do you think about that? Do you think it's the start of something new, or it's just okay? We needed to do something, so let's release a video of library images.
Yes, it is quite stock photo-ish. But
Yeah,
no,
no intro, no outro, no personalization. Like
um,
any other company in the world could have released this
but
video.
I think again, like if we take the path of like less seriousness, etc. I think that also there, I don't have access to the analytics, but I want to believe that basically hammering the same messaging day in day out that only talks to a certain to the existing community that isn't very engaging and isn't very fun or unique doesn't help much with growth. So, and I think that's what we see with Export. Export has done a very good job after integrating Sui to interact with big Sui accounts and gained a lot of exposure. So maybe the new MultiversX account will be a bit more fun, interact with other chains, having a bit more banter, as we say in English, and that can actually get people curious of like, oh, who is that account that is suddenly interacting in this cool? I'm gonna quote air quote cool
But
way.
let's be
Um,
just to maybe I over analyze. Okay, people sometimes reproach me with this, but let's be clear: this video is not fun. It's not a meme. It's, you know what I mean.
no, but
So there is
it's very different. We have like it is very different from what tends to be posted by MultiversX, and it's more grounded in reality. Um,
so
like
that's
what
why there is, in my opinion, something like weird. The same day we have memes, fun, digging things, and at the same time, like a very like epic video around sports. So
but
the
relatable,
branding, sorry,
but relatable. Again, less
how?
techy. Well, because it talks about things that's like day-to-day life things. Well, again, like I feel like most of the communications we've had in the past from all those accounts has been very holistic, very techie oriented, very oh the future is bright, etc. Like this is just a warm up with some stock video of people warming up or getting ready to do something, and that's it. I don't think we need to. I don't think there is some over analysis to be done. I just think it is kind of a shift. Is it fun? No, but it is a different type of messaging than what we've seen before, and maybe a new step in a new direction.
Okay, Sila, I wanted to say so. No, subject, sorry.
I think there's definitely a lot of room for optimism, not necessarily because of, the video, but we saw Benny absolutely glazing the new president of Romania. So I think that could be something that, maybe we're all pretty jaded no matter where you live about politicians, but, it seems like Benny has a lot of hope that, that could be a big shift inside Romania. Somebody who's,
Yeah, but
more
I saw
willing
this
to.
vlog. Okay, I just watched it yesterday or this morning. I don't remember. But okay, what's the connection? He just wanted to speak about news, but there is no connection with MultiverseX. Now they are American. No, but I mean, let's be serious. When he speaks
Well,
about the new president, which is a great math guy, okay, great. He's a great math guy. Okay, but what about? What about MultiverseX or what's happening in the United States? Nothing. It was stating that it was in Europe because he just voted and he was happy that a great math guy was now a president of Romania. But I did not see the relation with his role as a CEO of a layer one. But maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be conspiratorial, but I mean, I read some McKinsey reports going back to like 2015, and they've been talking about, a digital revolution happening in Central Eastern Europe for, more than a decade now. And, I think that kind of like how El Salvador in Latin America was willing to gamble on Bitcoin. Romania is kind of a country that is already positioned to experiment with, a new currency. They were already phasing out of their, currency for many years to adopt the euro. I think, that's a country that, if there is going to be a breakthrough,
So they left
and
to the
a
United States to involve in Romania.
I think he's clear that he's been coming to America to court the VCs and collaborate with big players in the industry. But I don't think that he's going to lose his foothold in Romania anytime soon, or necessarily Europe. I think that obviously X Money has been clear that they're trying to make a euro stable coin. So I don't know of anybody else that wants to
Let's
build a
maybe
euro.
remind that this new president is pro-Europe 100%, and I'm not sure the European Union, it's so difficult to say, will be encouraging this kind of technological innovation through transparency and currency and so on. But we'll see. But it's maybe more political topic than anything else. But okay, let's maybe focus on this warm-up thing. I don't know, Misha, if you saw this video, what did you think about it? Is it bullish? Yeah, how did you welcome this?
Quickly about the Europe thing, I think
Sure.
it can be a competitive advantage to actually be from Europe, right? Like there is not so much competition there. Or here, and we have like what 750 million of population, so that's definitely a huge addressable market here. But regarding the video, yeah, I mean, it signals something new. It reminds me a lot of what we had, what was it, 4 years ago with Maya, the what if we could take back time video. Not as close, but it goes into the direction, it signals something new. Yeah, it sets a lot of expectations. There is a lesson to be learned, or that we should have learned in the past with expectation management. But if I think the team is learning fast, and actually incorporating all these lessons, and yeah, that makes me hopeful that we will have something cool coming up on that front.
So Lucian, I think about a month ago, he said he wanted to raise $500 million. I was wondering if you guys, have any insight or thoughts about, is that a number that he's just, floating to be hyper bullish, or do you think that he has some leads and, that they've quantified some of these, forecasts?
Well, I don't have any information about this. I think it's what MultiversX would need to compete in the United States of America if MultiversX wants to grow as a valid ecosystem. It would not be, in my opinion, $500 million in equity or in sales of token, would be in engagement from VCs, investors, and so on in the ecosystem through, I don't know, grants, programs, or a Launchpad or something like that. A few years ago, they announced such investment around $40 million backed by Morningstar, and part of these millions were invested in the the Elrond Launchpad at the time and X Launchpad 2. So it's more like an engagement. So okay, I'm a VC or I'm a group of VCs. I engage in the 3 next years to invest $500 million in MultiversX ecosystem. In my opinion, it could be this form of investment. It's interesting, but no, I don't have any information. So this amount was dropped in a post. I remember I read it, but we don't have any information at this time. At least I don't. I don't know if you guys have anything new about this. But I think we we knew it if it was done. I think. No, nothing from you. Okay. Guys, I think we're good. We talked about the 3 topics I wanted to. I will give you the final word if you want to say something about your product. Of course, feel free to do it. If you want to say something to the community, it's the moment to do. Maybe Sila first.
Well, thank you for having me. It was nice talking about this. I'm working on nowadays. I'm working on Explore and MVXlib. So working a lot on those topics. I also have something in the making with eApes. So I can't wait to tell you more about this.
I want to know what is it. I will ask Mercy. I will ask Mercy.
We will see. And if anyone, I'm also working on a front-end dev. So if anyone needs help to launch their project, to create an MVP for their ideas, feel free to reach out to me.
Feel free to put your portfolio in the comment section if you have one, or a website or anything, if someone wants to reach you out.
Yeah, thanks.
Misha, what's up? I read that something's cooking around RAP.
Warps, yeah. Whoa, almost made me forget about this one. There's so many things going on. Yeah, first of all, always good to be on your show. Thanks for that. There's a lot going on Warp protocol. We have version 2 coming up. It's going to have a bunch of new features which make it not just usable for the Warp, use Warp.2 where you can do a bunch of things, but also for AI agents. To have Warp flows. Basically, it saves a lot. It will help you save a lot of time to developing smart contracts, to interact with smart contracts, to actually create these kind of mini devs. It reminds me a lot, I think, of what Xfabric might have been. It allows you to do this on chain and all this. Very excited about that. Should be coming in the next couple of days. Let's see, maybe next week, early next week. And yeah, Joy AI agents coming up, Pyramid updates coming, integrity integration with Warps coming. Yeah, very excited for the future. And I hope that we find a cool narrative that gets a lot of people just as excited.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Misha. Joachim, when Gopal Labs?
Yes. I'm going to do a bit of a leak on your show, a new one that even you haven't heard of, I think. So as you know, Gaupa login has been in development for a while. The main goal is to facilitate the use of blockchain for builders by allowing them to plug into a plug and play solution, but also again Gaupa login for the user to be able to connect with Google or with social accounts. And that's why I know there is a marathon in Sibiu this weekend, is because with VeroPay and Gaupa Labs, we have been working on some quite exciting stuff. And it's all about bringing new users in a very abstracted way and in a fun way to the chain and to get them curious about MultiversX. So massive shout out to VeroPay, who are brilliant and lovely guys. Well, you had them as guests, so you know that.
We received the founder in the show a few weeks before, and he will come back very soon
I'm pretty sure he will. So yeah, so we are. I won't tease it yet, but if you look at my Twitter profile, you might see some stuff. But we are working on something quite cool that is going to start at the Sibiu Marathon, but is going to keep going, and it's focused on a very specific niche, which is runners, and to bring them on chain in a new way with very little friction.
So the warm-up thing was about you?
Exactly. It's all about Garpa Labs. MultiverseX did this video just for Garpa Labs. No.
Amazing.
Well, I don't have that good ties with MultiverseX as far as I know.
Soon.
Or they forgot to tell me. Anyway. So
Thank you, Joachim. Thank you very much.
you,
Subject.
Brian.
So yeah, thanks for having me. I think my only final thought is that, you know, this is all a game. This is all an experiment. I think that we kind of converged on the thought that, you know, the more we can treat this like a fun game, you know, and facilitate unstoppable cooperation, you know, between builders, between investors, you know, the more that we all play this game in a way that's, you know, cooperative and for the benefit of everyone. If there's a way to distill that idea, you know, I think that's something that can open a lot of doors, because this is a cool community. You know, it's nice to be up here with all you guys. And, you know, I think that's something that's unique. There's a lot of scumbags in crypto and a lot of really extractive people. So if we can, you know, get rid of this Jeet culture and, you know, really kind of build together, I think that's an idea and something that MultiverseX, you know, I think that this is a community that is more family oriented in a certain way than a lot of other blockchains and communities. So hopefully that's something that will become part of our identity.
Thank you very much, Subject. And yeah, Joachim, I just saw a post, quote tweeted by Vero Pay about race ledger. Yeah, so this is about that.
Yes.
Okay, so good luck with it, and yeah, let's talk about it next week, maybe, if you
Exactly. After
yeah.
the marathon, after I've actually been able to sleep.
Okay, don't sleep during the marathon. Okay.
No.
Thank you very much, you guys. Thank you very much for taking the time. I set you free to continue your activities, and yeah, see you very soon on GM Web3 MultiversX. Thank you very much, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
And this show is over. Thank you, everyone who watched it. I hope you learned. I hope you had fun as we have. Thank you to the sponsors, Hatom and eApes. And thank you to the whole MultiverseX community who is yeah, ready to have critics and objective point of view about our ecosystem. And let's continue to do this every Wednesday at 8 a.m. UTC on Twitter, on YouTube, and on X. Don't forget to subscribe to our socials, and see you very soon. Bye, guys.